All right, you've got to hear this. I want you to imagine cutting the cost of a single task in your company, not by 10%, not even by half, but by over 99%. It sounds completely made up, I know. But today, we're going to break down how one development team went from spending more than $50,000 per story point all the way down to just $237.
And the person who said this, Chris, a development team lead, dropped a quote that just stops you in your tracks. He said, "It cost us $50,673 per story point on the old model. Now it costs me $237 using Copado AI. I mean, that's a 214 times cost reduction. That is just wild."
Let's just look at that first number by itself for a second. Over $50,000. That was the actual real cost for them to get one standard unit of work done.
And now, $237. This isn't just a little improvement. This is a complete and total reinvention of how they operate financially.
So what does that mean for the business? Well, Chris figures this whole shift is going to save the company about $6 million in the next year alone. This is way more than just being a little more efficient. This is a massive, massive game changer. So the big question is, how in the world did they pull this off?
To really get how revolutionary this is, you have to understand the old way of doing things, the reality that led to that $50,000 price tag. For Chris's team, it was simple. One story point equaled one developer's entire day of work.
So yeah, in their world, a story point was just a straightforward measure. The amount of work one developer could get done in a typical 8-hour day. It's the basic building block they use to figure out how much effort any given task would take.
And this right here, this shows you the whole transformation in a nutshell. What used to be a full 8-hour day of a developer's focused work is now done in about 5 minutes. 5! But here's the kicker. They still log it as one story point, because the value they're delivering is exactly the same. The result is identical, but the effort to get there has basically vanished.
So what was the magic ingredient here? What made this all possible? Well, it was a specialized AI engine. And we're not talking about some generic tool you can just grab off the shelf. This was something built specifically for their world.
And this is where things get really interesting. We've all played around with tools like ChatGPT, right? They're great. They know code syntax. But this Copado AI has something they call org intelligence. What does that mean? It means it has deep, deep context. It doesn't just know how to write code, it knows your code, your data model, your integrations, and all of your company's specific rules.
And it delivers this intelligence through what are essentially 5 specialized AI agents. Each one is an expert in a different part of the development cycle. So you've got an agent for planning, one for actually building the code, another for testing it, one to handle the release, and even one for operations after it goes live. It's like having this elite specialized team working for you 24/7.
So how does it get so smart about their specific setup? Well, it plugs directly into the company's Salesforce metadata, which is basically the DNA of their entire system. It learns every object, every field, every process, all the data relationships, and even their unique coding and architectural standards. It isn't guessing. It's working off a perfect internal map of everything.
Now, when you have a tool this powerful, you can't just keep working the same old way. The people and the processes have to change too. And for Chris's team, that meant shifting to a new model they call Tiger Teams, where tiny groups can produce an absolutely massive amount of work.
So a Tiger team is just a small, lean unit. You might have one lead, a product person, a dev, and someone from QA. But when you give that small team this AI, you amplify their abilities so much that they can deliver the work of a group 10 times their size. The AI basically becomes a force multiplier for human talent.
All right, so let's make this real. The team had a project to build a pretty complex approval process. In the old system, this was a 13-point story. So, a really significant chunk of work. And here's the punchline. The old way, that would have taken a senior developer 2 full weeks of dedicated work. The new way, with the AI, the total hands-on keyboard time was 45 minutes, and most of that was just reviewing and tweaking what the AI had already built. I mean, come on, 2 weeks versus 45 minutes. That single comparison tells you everything you need to know.
But hold on. I know what everyone's thinking right now, right? If you're going that fast, the quality has to be terrible. You've got to be cutting corners somewhere. It's just not possible.
And this is maybe the most shocking part of the whole story. Chris's answer was, quality actually improved. How? Well, for one, the AI automatically generates all the tests. But crucially, he says it follows their internal coding standards more consistently than humans do. It just doesn't get lazy or forget the rules. It removes that human error factor completely.
Which brings us all the way back to that $6 million number. How does all of this, the speed, the quality, how does that translate into such huge business value? Let's unpack the math behind it. I mean, this chart really paints the picture. To get the same amount of work done, they used to need a team of about 12 contractors. Now, with the AI model, they need 2 or 3. The savings on headcount alone are just enormous.
But here's the thing. That $6 million in savings isn't just about cutting contractor costs. Yeah, that's part of it, about $1.8 million. But the real value, the big prize, is the explosion in what they can actually do. Their capacity has gone from delivering about 100 story points a quarter to nearly 1,000. That means new features get to market way faster, which gives them a huge leg up on the competition.
So when you step back and look at the whole picture, this isn't just some quirky little story about one team. What this looks like is a fundamental ground-level shift in how software gets made. It feels like the future is kind of already here.
And Chris leaves us with this pretty powerful prediction. He says that in 5 years, any team not using this kind of specialized AI is going to look as old-fashioned as teams that are still deploying code manually. The productivity gap will just be too huge to ignore. It will be a necessity.
So you have to ask yourself, when a process gets compressed from weeks down to minutes, when huge teams get replaced by small, super-powered tiger teams, and when the cost of getting work done drops by more than 99%, is this just a one-off, or are we looking at the future of how all software is going to be built?